Right, okay. We all ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all filled out. Right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, dear listeners. This is episode 104 of the Devon Dice Podcast, recorded on the 6th of August, 2023. In this podcast, we're going to be doing the usual news, crowdfunding games that we played, and then we also have a chat with Dan Apsey from the 24. Sorry,
that's all right.
If you'd listened to any of our podcasts, you'd have known that Joel murders everyone's names.
Excellent, love that.
Apsey.
Nope.
Get in there.
Apsey. That's it.
It's because someone spelled it wrong in there. It's probably me, actually. Hello, listeners. Joel here in the editing booth, and I just wanted to drop in here and make an apology. I don't deliberately try and mispronounce people's names wrong for slapstick humour, funny goodness for the podcast. It's my brain reading the correct information, my mouth doing its own thing. It's really frustrating and disheartening sometimes, even when I listen back to the podcast and I was like, wow, what did I say there? But I mean, if you can live through those things, then that's fine. But I did want to just say, I tried to do my prep and research before recording because I knew I'd had a problem with Dan's surname. And so I read his name out, I said his name aloud, I even got my wife in on the act to help me make sure I was pronouncing it correctly, and I was, first time, every time. It was great, I was happy with myself, but when we come to record, someone else filled out the script. I don't know if they spelt it wrong, because they didn't know, or Google Docs done an autocorrect, and spell it how it thought it should be spelled, but when I come to read the script, it completely threw me through a loop. And that's when the trouble happened, let's say, or the humour happened. So, again, I do want to apologise if I offend anyone in now or the past and in the future for mispronouncing. I'm not doing it deliberately. I just can't help it. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. So, let's get back to the recording and hope everything gets better in the future.
I'm looking in the script, and it's definitely spelled incorrectly. But I didn't want to say anything until you introduced me to see if you'd get it right.
Yeah.
It turns out
that's the way to do it.
Unfortunately, you didn't pass the test, but I did enjoy the attempt. You'll be surprised at how many times my 5-letter simple surname gets spelled incorrectly or pronounced incorrectly. The best one I had was Daniel Apsey. Which
I was going to ask
so much that is actually now my nickname. And
I was going to ask why Asbo is your
name. And my board gaming group know me as Asbo.
Oh, brilliant.
It's stuck.
That was so good. Check if it's spelled correctly now.
No, it's not. Because I've just checked it.
He's just put Dan. He gave him mouth and it's easier.
I've just put down the rest of it. The intro. You want it?
Oh dear. Well, that's a great intro. So
you'll start again.
In this podcast,
you've put it in the bit where you've got the blue writing, but you put Daniel Apsey, which pronunciation is correct, but it's still misspelled. Which I don't understand, because you sent me an email and it's got my surname in it.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay. I don't get offended, so it's fine.
You want to write the show notes though, so what?
Yeah.
Correct it.
I've really lost my train of thought now. Let's just move along. No, right. So we've got Daniel Apsey. Oh my goodness.
Do you need a gin or a rum.
Well, I thought I had something better.
Maybe he's already on that.
I got a can of. I thought I had something better than that might help me and wake me up a bit, but can of Monster's not doing it. So
not doing it.
And then I always go right. So basically, we just got the dude that does the 24-hour board gaming marathon here on the show with us. Hi, I'm Joel Wright, the host of the podcast, and joining me this week we've got Nick Shaw, the podcast resident board game designer.
Good evening, folks.
And Sam, the champion of the Clank universe. And he's our IT guy now. So welcome, Dan. That's like probably one of the longest intros we've ever done on the show, but it was great.
If I go down in history for that, the world's a better place. I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Our podcast certainly is, so that's fine.
Yes.
So yes, so Dan's been running this 24-hour board gaming marathon for like is this the 6th year? Dan?
Yeah, so we took one year off because of there was this thing going around. You may have heard of it called the coronavirus.
Oh yeah,
that was a thing. So we had to shut down for a year. But other than that, we've done 5 events of the 24-hour board game marathon since 2018 up until this year, and this year was our 5th event.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty good going. And how did it kind of come about then, and where it's got to now, more or less?
So I suppose it depends how far back you want to go. I mean, I've been a lover of board games sort of since a few years after Agricola kind of first came out. So, my proper first kind of, not gritty, because Agricola's not gritty, but when you go from something like, Monopoly, yes, I said the M word. If you go from that to something a bit more, more fruity, then, Agricola is kind of where I started off. So okay. I've always kind of had like a base love of board gaming. And then how the event came across is we've got, me and my wife got 2 children, and our second child, Archer, he was born, but he got stuck, bless him. He didn't want to come out. He was nice and cozy where he was. And because of that, he had to have quite a lot of medical procedures to sort of get out. And once he was out, he was whisked off to St Michael's Hospital in Bristol, where he was looked after. Just opposite St Michael's Hospital in Bristol is a wonderful, beautiful place called Cots for Tots House. And Cots for Tots House housed myself and my wife, Vicky, while Archer was receiving critical care. So Cots for Tots is one part of the Grand Appeal charity, the Wallace and Gromit Foundation. And Cots for Tots at the time, they had one house where they'd have parents there right opposite the hospital, so they can go over and they can see their son or daughter how often they like, and they don't have to be miles and miles away from the hospital. So a lot of these people that use Cots for Tots as a charity come from all over the southwest, right from the bottom, right at the bottom, it's St Ives, right all the way up to the top to sort of up by sort of Portsmouth or Plymouth or Bristol or even further up than that. So they specialise in neonatal intensive care in the hospital, but Cots for Tots help the families, and the families will stay there while their child is over at the hospital. But also they fund a lot of the neonatal intensive care equipment used to look after babies in the hospital as well. So we were there. We were there for only 2 weeks, actually. We're just shy of 2 weeks. And our son Archer was one of the quickest babies at the time out. He's amazing now. He's a lovely little cherub at 5 and doesn't, get on your nerves as a 5-year-old does, bless him. No, he's lovely. But with that, we wanted to return the favour. So that's when the 24-hour board game marathon was born. So since 2018, we have raised money for Cots for Tots by doing board gaming for 24 solid hours. Not only do we have a venue where people come and they board game for 24 hours alongside us, but we also do it via live stream as well. And it's like we've been doing it for 5 occasions now, and we've raised over £23,000 for Cots for Tots, which is amazing.
That's amazing. Brilliant. Great stuff.
It is a really, really amazing job. So, I mean, this year was my first time of being able to go. I think previous years, this is my excuse. I was either on holiday or doing other things, so it was just one of those things. Believe me if you want to. But so yeah, this time
it always goes at that time of the year, doesn't it? Whereas we normally put it on in July or August, so it kind of fits. If you've got kids, then it kind of fits. It's there where oh great, I can take my children, and people do, or they go, oh, I'm on holiday and they can't come. So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, that is mainly my excuse.
Yeah.
So yeah, but this year was my first time, and I was encouraged by the Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast guys, because they said, oh yeah, this is on this day, and I checked my calendar, and luckily the wife hadn't put anything in it yet, so I quickly jumped at the chance.
Nice.
And I did mention that I was going to come to this a few podcasts back, and then was ridiculed by our other host, who's not here, for saying, how can you do 24 hours and then be able to drive home afterwards? I was just like, I don't know, Lewis. I will come to that when I finish the 24 hours.
But did you
given the amount of coffee you have to drink in order to get through it, I'm pretty sure you're safer than, It's not analogous to drinking that amount of time, is it?
No, I mean, I got a good night's sleep the night before. I got there very late on the first time, so I went to the wrong hotel because there's two hotels in Devon of the same name, pretty much the same distance from my house. So when I put it in, it came up with this option. I was like, yeah, that seems about right. Drove there, got to this hotel, and I thought, this is a bit quiet for a board gaming marathon convention. Then looked it up again. I was like, yeah, I'm at the wrong hotel. It's half an hour away from here. So,
which hotel did you end up in?
One in like Salton Mallet or something like that.
Shepton Mallet.
Septon Mallet, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite far away. That's quite impressive.
Where was the actual hotel? Sorry, where was it?
It was in Illminster.
Illminster, right?
Which is it's not too far from Taunton.
But a bit further from Shepton Mallet, right?
Oh yeah. If you end up in Shepton Mallet, you're way off. But I think it's funny you said that. So I think if you type in the Shrubbery Hotel into Google, I think as you're typing, it kind of autocorrects it and does put in Shepton Mallet, so it's easily done.
I want to know as well, if it's called the Shrubbery Hotel, I'm going to be immensely disappointed if it isn't Monty Python themed.
Sadly, it isn't. But with the 24-hour board game marathon, we saw the light, and we decided to shout out the Shrubbery as many times as we possibly could in the 24-hour period.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
So don't worry. We ticked the box there. We ticked the box.
Fantastic.
So yeah, the event was very well run. I have to say, there was lots going on, lots of gaming events going on. There was also the live streaming going on, hosted by Whose Turn It Is Anyway podcast. JP, yes.
JP. So JP hosted it this year alongside our co-host Shelley Taylor. Shelley did it last year with us. Normally our host Ben Travis does it. However, he was unable to make it, so we asked JP this year, and he kindly said yes.
Mm-hmm. So
he didn't know what he was in for until 24 hours afterwards, and then he decided you could see his soul at about hour 19.
Yeah,
19/20. If you go to YouTube and you watch back the highlight video, you will see that there is a wonderful picture of him looking like a bag of rubbish.
Yeah. I've got to apologise to him at some point because I did let him down. Because I booked myself on to play Camel Up and Skull at the very end of it because I thought, well, they're easy games. I won't be doing much, so I thought, I can play those and just finish off the event with that. But when it came to actually doing Camel Up, I was still halfway through a game of Hegemony, and I was just like, I want to continue playing this. Can I play this still? And he was like, yeah, whatever, just go. I was like, thanks.
It's a good thing about the marathon is that we'll always end up finding someone who'll be willing to participate in the stream, so which is always good. But when you're playing Hegemony, you're so into it, you probably don't want to stop, as it is such a good, rich, asymmetric game. And I'm not a big fan of asymmetry when it comes to a lot of these games, especially because I tend to be the teacher of the group. So you find that when you're teaching something like Root, that you're almost having to learn 5 different separate games or 6 different separate games, depending on which expansions you're using, and it becomes quite overbearing for the teacher. So I'm not overly a fan. But then with Hegemony, I fell in love with this after playing it at the UK Games Expo this year. I played it for only the first round, and I was hooked. But the thing is I was being demoed the game, and as I was being demoed the game, the stall that obviously was selling them, which is the Hegemony Project, I think they're called, because obviously they're an independent company. They sold out at the very second I was about to make my purchase after being demoed. And it's like, no, so I had to wait about a month before I got a copy. But now I have the copy. I've been able to play it only a couple of times, but both times have been fantastic.
Awesome. You had the games raffle, or you had a raffle for a lot of prizes on that.
Well, that raffle was massive, wasn't it?
It was. There was one point where the host of doing the raffle, was it her name Lisa? That was
Lucy.
Lucy.
Yes.
Was calling it out, and she was like, "We're going to do this in an hour," and we pretty much got it all done in an hour, didn't we? So
I set her a time limit of an hour, and she said, "That's like 2 prizes a minute." I'm like, "Yep."
It was pretty much like that.
Let's do it. And she did
another
very,
ticket,
very well.
another ticket.
Yeah, it was like speed round. She did very well. But when you've got £4,500 worth of prizes, I think she said you worked it out. There was like 100, and I think there was 120 or maybe even 150 prizes in that prize raffle, which was the biggest we've ever done, and it was amazing. And there were some really good prizes in there. Perseverance episode 1 and 2, Dice Throne was in there. There was about 6 copies of Frostpunk by Glass
That's
Cannon.
right,
Thank you very much to them. And we had a lot of prizes, and she did very well at getting rid of those in such a quick time. And it was good. Yes, best raffle we've ever done.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I don't know if I'm missing anything. I mean, the hotel is great. The food was actually really quite good and actually quite reasonable priced, I have to say. So
they priced it quite well, and they were very, very accommodating for us, and feedback afterwards were that they were really, really happy with us. And thing is, with our event, I've never had kind of any negativity when it comes to our event because of what we're doing it for. We're raising money for babies, so it's the energy is positive. Everyone is really, really happy to be there. Yes, everyone gets tired if they're doing 24 hours and it's getting to sort of 4 a.m., 5 a.m. and they're like, what am I doing? But then they realize, do you know what? I'm doing it for babies and it's a really good cause and everyone's really happy and everyone leaves happy. It's a nice feeling being the organizer of it that it's nice to sort of come away and think, oh, do you know what? We did a great thing and everyone really enjoyed themselves as well.
Yeah, it was very, very good. And for everyone, I got to 8 o'clock. There was no one really around. There was no games really starting. So I just thought, I'm just going to leave now. And I drove home and I was fine and stayed awake until about 1 o'clock.
See, Lewis? See?
And crashed on the sofa at 1 o'clock for a couple hours. And then,
I have the perfect cure that you need to do if you have children, especially young children, as my children are only 7 and 5. The perfect cure in order to get decent sofa sleep at about 1 p.m. And it's 2 words. And those 2 words are Spirited Away.
Oh, I can imagine that blow their minds.
Just chuck that on. Spirited
I think
Away.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Honest, because not only is the film absolutely brilliant, but if you chuck that on, and I've seen it 100 times, so it's fine for me. So you want to get a little bit of shut eye, you get a little bit of shut eye for a couple of hours. The kids are engrossed. Win-win. Done. Thank you very much. And I felt much better after that.
Yep.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I have got a confession to make. I never do normally sleep in the 24-hour period of the 24-hour board game marathon because it's a bit frowned upon, isn't it? Because if you're the person that's running the thing, you can't go off for a cheeky nap. However, this year I did. I had
I think
90
it's fair
minutes.
enough.
Yeah, I needed because where the hall was and where my hotel room was, it was barely from the back doors. It was barely a 3-meter walk, and my room was down. I went, oh, do you know what? I could just get 20 minutes just to take the edge off. Just take the edge off. And I went in and I was gone for an hour and a half. I was gone. But do you know what? It helped. It helped.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to organise a 24-hour board game marathon, and when it comes to the day, you're so excited and you don't want to miss any of it, and it's really great. But then sometimes your body just goes, no, don't be silly. Have 5 minutes to yourself. So I did.
Absolutely.
Yes. But I hope we see you again next year. This year was amazing. We're staying where we are again in the Shrubbery Hotel next year. However, we will be having an extended play space, as there will be a marquee out in the back, which should be able to extend us by about possibly 150, 200 people.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday morning and lunchtime-ish, it in the main room felt like being sardines.
It really did. It was we weren't expecting how busy it was going to be, and because of the nature of the event, we didn't want to limit ticket sales.
No.
So but also it was my biggest worry going to bed the Friday night. It was like, oh, is everyone going to be able to fit in? I think we managed it.
I think you did. Yeah.
I'd say the ticket sales was 262. Which is incredible. The year before was about 196. The year before that was about 120, and the year before that was 80. So we're growing in small numbers, but at about sort of 70 on average every year. But if word gets out and we're still growing, then we need the extra play space. But the Shrubbery do us a fantastic deal, considering it's for charity. So we wanted to stay there again, and luckily we can extend the play space.
Awesome, that's brilliant. So yeah, I don't know if any of you got any questions, or are you going to come next year? That's
a good question.
Yeah,
I may do one of our group,
now we know about it. Yeah.
One of our group our regular group's going, or has said that she's going to go. So there might be a handful of us that try it out. I don't know.
Normally, all they got to do is mention the words "babies." And people go, "Oh, now I feel bad if I don't go now."
Normally, if I hear the word babies, I'm thinking there's going to be babies. I'm out.
I'm out. Very true. Very true. No one wants a crying baby while you're knee deep in Nemesis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No one wants that.
So brilliant.
But no, it is one of those things. There's my friends up in Northampton. They've done one before, and I was going to go. I think it was the first year they did it was 2019. Then they were going to do it in 2020, but obviously COVID happened, so it didn't happen. So I didn't get to go to that one. So it may well be. It's kind of one of those things that it's not really a bucket list kind of thing, but it's like a 24-hour gaming session is kind of like as far as gaming is concerned, is like one of those kind of must do at least once type things. I think so.
Yeah,
I'm a crack.
But the good thing about ours is if you know what I mean, some of us gamers are getting a little bit older now, and I'm 37, which obviously isn't ancient, but I'm definitely feeling it with 2 kids. So sometimes you don't really want to stay up for 24 hours. Probably one of the reasons why I only do a 24-hour board game marathon once a year. But if you want to just do 12 hours, you can buy a 12-hour ticket. The money still goes to a fantastic cause, and you can do 12 hours. And to be honest, a lot of people, they go, oh, do you know what? I'm not sure what this is going to be like. I'll buy a 6-hour ticket. They buy a 6-hour ticket and they last 6 hours, and they go back to the front desk and they buy another 6 because they want to stay longer. They love it. Which is really nice to see.
Cool. That's really
I did know a few people that brought the full 24 hours, but only stayed up until 12 o'clock because they just say, well, it's going to a good cause. So I don't mind paying that money
too. Yeah, so, absolutely. And I'm really thankful for people that do that. And if they stay, you're more than welcome to stay. But I also understand that most people tend to hang out at their bum when it gets to midnight. And I'm also one of those people. But I rather than sort of, because the year before we did, I don't know if you've seen, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can have a look. But we did a live action version of Atmosphere, the board game.
Right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Obviously from the 90s. Some silly sod decided to dress up as the gatekeeper. That was me. And it was so fun to do. But by the time I'd finished doing that and it reached about midnight, I was done. I was done in. That was the end of my marathon. I was absolutely pooped. But this year I didn't want that to happen. So I thought the best way to be able to combat that is to get out a heavy Euro to hopefully battle through at least sort of 3 hours and try and get past that lull. So I played Perseverance Episode 1 at about 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, my word. Impressive.
But I taught it as well.
Wow.
And it was okay, actually. We finished at about sort of 4, I think it was about 4:30, I think we finished. I mean, I didn't win, and I will blame my my non-victory on the fact that I was tired. And I was teaching, yeah, I was so really
absolutely
tired.
Good teacher.
But I went to bed after that for that hour and a half. But yeah, Perseverance Episode 1, 3 hours worth, and that got a good chunk at a time out of the way. Because if I just sat there, I would have fallen asleep. And if you fall asleep in the board game marathon, they take photos of you.
Yeah. There was quite a few bodies littered around like the reception area and upstairs in the early hours of the morning. It was quite amusing.
Yeah, so. I go round and take photographs of them all. And I put them in the highlight video because it's hilarious. But I did. My family did that to me when I did get Spirited Away on. They took a photograph of me, and my kids decided to put a paper mask that they had just randomly made because they're quite creative. But they put it in my glasses. But I didn't move. I just stayed there. So the photograph is beautiful.
I think I saw that on there. So.
Yeah. I just, but about that time you could draw all over my face. I wouldn't care. So it was all good. But yes, next year, 2024. We're doing 2 events next year, which is our first time that we're ever doing 2 events in 1 year. So the regular 24-hour board game marathon will be on August 3rd, 2024, with our early access evening the night before. Again, in the shrubbery in Illminster, not Shepton Mallet.
Okay, so got that. Yeah. I've noted that down.
Noted, nice. And our second event will be earlier in the year. It'll be actually on January the 27th, which is our first mini marathon, which will be 12 hours in length between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Again in the shrubbery. And it will just be, rather than sort of separate with lots of events going on, like Blood on the Clock Tower that we normally do, or tournaments like Magic the Gathering and that kind of thing, we're just keeping it to board gaming, and it's just 12 solid hours of board gaming for Cots.
Nice, yeah. Oh, sounds like nice, yeah.
We're also limiting the ticket sales to 100 so that we're not all bunched in. And we have sold over half of them already.
Oh, better jump on that quickly then.
Go for it. Head to the website, the 24-hour boardgamemarathon.co.uk, and tickets are available there.
I'll do that before I put this out, so I've got a better chance.
I think there's about 49 left, I think, which is I was blown away by how quickly we sold that many so far. But I think people enjoyed the buzz of the marathon so much that I wanted to capitalize on that excitement and think of another way that we could raise some money, and I thought that was a great way of doing so.
Definitely. Awesome.
And hopefully I can play some more games, because I never get to play any games.
Yeah, that's the trouble when you organise events like this, isn't it? Or you're the organiser of something like that. You think, oh yeah, I can do this and I can play games and get all this done, and actually you don't, because you're too busy organising stuff and organising
We
people.
live in 2023, and I wish that we lived like in 2053 and they had invented a clone machine that they can just clone me about 10 times. So that the actual me can just play board games and the rest of me can be divided by the people that need me. But sadly not. But I did get to play Azul Stained Glass of Sintra. I played a bit of Crokinole, Rustling Leaves, Clask, and of course Perseverance Episode 1. So I played a little bit.
That's all right. That's not too bad.
Not unfortunately like yourself, and got to play Hegemony. I wanted to play Hegemony, but I just sadly didn't get round to it. But I do love that game. That's definitely the new hotness of this year so far.
Awesome. All right. Let's move along. So we've got a long list of news stuff to get through. So what we're going to do is read out the news highlights, and then we can maybe pick a couple and then talk about.
Let's do it.
And then there's probably then crowdfunding and what we've been playing. So in the news, we've got Waterfall Park, the new retheming of Chinatown. General Orders, World War II, new game from David T. Thompson. No. I can't
David
think
Thompson.
now.
Just say
David Thompson. I don't know why I'm adding a letter in there. It's just me. The one wing cut. Right. That's sounding really weird.
The
One Ring Magic the Gathering card has now been sold.
I'm saying nothing.
Schwaboy?
Marriage?
Oh dear. Foundations of Metropolis. Oh, I'll give up with this. Nick, take it
I'll
away.
do that one then. Foundations of Metropolis, which is going to be a non-blinged out version of Foundations of Rome, which was a massive, great big box Kickstarter from
That's
Anton Suchi.
interesting. I'd like to have a look at that myself.
So that was announced on the Dice Tower Spectacular last week, I think. And this is basically going to be a cut down version which is just tiles rather than big miniatures.
That is a great idea.
I think they should have done that in the first place, but I think
yes,
this
that would have been a good idea for the Kickstarter players, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And this is a slight retheme in that they're setting it in I think it's 1920s Metropolis, America. But it's effectively the same game, so it looks like that'll probably do really well.
Nice.
The One Ring one that you didn't finish, Joel, is the card that was found last month or something has been already sold for $2 million, which is just insane.
Who bought it? Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he now sits in his ivory tower just saying, "My precious, my precious"?
I'd be disappointed if he doesn't.
No.
I reckon.
Why have it if you can't do that? I mean, that's love it.
Brilliant.
So then we got Undergrove is a new game announced from the Elizabeth Hargrave, who's the author or the designer of Wingspan. Yep. It's going to be coming, I think, Essen time. Mm-hmm. A new game from Martin Wallace, a new train game called Steam Power, which looks like to be a kind of a almost Gateway Plus level mixture of his designs of steam and brass, using kind of similar mechanics from those two combined into a fairly lightweight game. Actually looks quite nice. There's a new Cat in the Box edition called the Colossal Cat in the Box edition, where the deluxe clearly wasn't enough, so they're now doing a colossal version, which I think
does add
really
new stuff to it. It's a couple of new expansions.
Yeah,
and
it's a few new bits in it. Yeah,
I think it's what's commonly known as cashing in on a hot thing.
In fact, I called it the next. What's the next version going to be then? After that is the Colossal Deluxe Extravaganza version. Keep going. I will keep going as I'm still talking now.
You carry on.
So, Dorf Romantic, as we know, won the Spiel des Jahres last month, and there is
which I don't understand, which I don't get.
We didn't understand either.
No. No.
But this is getting a 2-player only competitive spin-off game coming next year. There's very little information about it, but that sounds like an interesting twist on it.
So it now is
look like
my starter Carcassonne.
My first Carcassonne.
Yeah, my first Carcassonne.
But no longer my first co-op Carcassonne. It's
my
first 2-player Carcassonne.
And if you want to be able to get some sleep, then play Dorf Romantic, and you'll be able to sleep quite well because you will fall asleep playing it. Carry on. No, moving along. Sorry.
And as at the time that we are talking, Gen Con in America is just finishing, which is the biggest board game convention in the world. And this was announced on the Board Game Geek news website, is that Eric Martin called it the Tale of Two Cons, because Disney Lorcana, which is, I think they can actually buy there now.
Yes, they could, yeah.
The lines were getting so long that it was completely disrupting the rest of the con. And by the second day, they actually had to put proper line management in, and it was queuing up 1.5 miles down the road with people queuing up.
Bear in mind, they were queuing from 10 p.m. on the... No, sorry, 8
p.m. the night before. Yeah, but it was
until
to get the 10 a.m. entry.
10 a.m.
And apparently that by mid-afternoon on the Sunday there was no queue left, and there were still games available. So the thing is,
it's
queued up,
it's not like
which is crazy.
It's a one-off concert by a pop star that's never going to do it again. It's a card game that's always going to be in production if it sells well.
Yeah. It's in retail mid-August.
It was also fixed by the fact that they said there were going to be special one-off edition-y something or other cards again.
Yeah, which are already on eBay for
Yeah,
hundreds of pounds.
a bit like the Disney Con thing, you know, it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Here's the one-offs you'll only get here, and so that was probably what most of it was for. But there's also some distasteful bit in there about how the rush was like a Black Friday of yesteryear,
like a stampede almost,
with like mothers with their children getting crushed and dudes in wheelchairs getting flipped over and things. It just sounds absolutely ghastly.
Did that actually happen?
Apparently, yeah.
Wow, that is incredible.
Oh, horrendous.
That's sad to hear.
Yeah.
But apart from that bit, apparently the rest of Gen Con's gone very well. All the publishers are saying they've done extremely well in their sales. They've had to get extra shipments in for the last couple of days. And they've done really well selling out everything.
Well,
so
I think
that's
this is
success.
the first year of
It's the first non-blip. Really,
yeah, it's the first of the resurgence, I think. So yeah, good sign.
And then at Gen Con, the Dice Tower Awards announced all their winners as well. And I won't list through them all, but the game of the year was Heat Pedal to Metal, which we thoroughly agree with.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was a good choice on their part. No mention of challenges anywhere. You'll like to know, Sam.
I took
wasn't
great
even nominated.
Yes, I took great pleasure in seeing challengers not be in that list.
Yeah, nor Duel for Romantic actually. That wasn't there.
I think officially this shows that the Dice Tower are more in tune with modern gaming than the Spiel des Jahres
Definitely.
committee.
Definitely.
And that's into the news.
Yeah. I want to go back out. General Orders World War II. This looks really interesting because it's apparently the first worker placement game based on World War II. So apparently any other game has never done this before. So yeah, it looks really interesting. I was kind of reading the rules, and there is you got your general or your commanders, and you actually put them onto spots which do actions actually on the board, and you move troops around, and you're trying to gain control of areas, getting your troops in there and shooting cannons out, kind of thing. So yeah, I am really intrigued to see how this is. I think this will be a Essen release, so I will make my way
this is being shown off at Gen Con.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's coming soon.
Waterfall Park, actually, I put this on the website so people can go and read that there. I don't know, has anyone played Chinatown?
I once thought about Chinatown and then went to Board Game Geek's page for it, and the first mechanism is listed as negotiation, and I went, no.
Yeah.
Left the page right away.
It's old school, isn't it? It's not one I've played.
It's from 1999, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how old it was.
Yeah. It's a bit crazy.
So yeah.
I've not played it.
Yeah. So crowdfunding. Call of Duty the board game is out on Kickstarter. I have backed it because I am a nut.
I've just thrown up in my mouth. I've just had a little bit of sick come up. Sorry.
I mean, there's a lot less chance. I thought about the same thing, but there's a lot less chance of a 10-year-old teabagging you in this one. So I think it's at least got that going for it.
Well, does it say that on the box? Because I want to know.
Guaranteed.
Oh, that would be an awesome
I need to quote you, Sam.
on the
you
back.
have to quote you on that.
Yeah.
There's got to be a voiceover for that. Call of Duty the board game, guaranteed to you for no teabagging. I just no. I mean,
I'm just checking the stretch goals just in case there is a teabagging miniature. There might be. You never know.
Do you know what? If there is but the thing is, I don't want it to be an actual pair of nuts. I want it to be an actual teabag that looks like a Tetley's teabag. Also, or other brands are available on a plastic base.
That would be so funny.
Because that I'm in.
A teabag miniature.
That would be. It's swaying me just on that alone. But you say the words Call of Duty and you say the words Kickstarter, you already know that the base pledge is probably going to cost you $100, and then if you want all the add-ons, you're probably going to need to either donate a kidney or possibly hire a hitman to kill someone for you to get the money or something.
You're not far off, actually.
You actually are not far off.
$49, but the collector's edition is $99. So yeah, $100.
So
the deluxe bundle is $200.
The deluxe is $250.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or if you want your own custom card, you can pay $600.
Oh, $600. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it.
You could do your own teabagging card.
I'm going to leave it.
Yeah. It's almost worth it just to do the teabagging.
Yeah.
Your own teabagging card. Oh, that's tempting.
Maybe someone will actually think of that. I mean, because that's a pretty good idea. I'm up for that.
Anyway, so yeah, kind of am backing it. I'm interested to see how it goes. They've already adjusted the stretch goals because there was a little bit ridiculous on the stretch goals rewards of the how much they thought they were going to earn from this. So that's already been adjusted to.
Well, imagine they're paying quite a lot for the IP.
Yeah,
and it's only made 115,000 so far. It's not done huge amounts yet for a minis game.
No, it hasn't.
Unless Activision approached Arcane Wonders, is the thing, isn't it? If Activision pitched or someone can make a game for it, I'd imagine it would be more likely that way round than Arcane Wonders going, you know what we want to do? I think it's more like Activision are going, we need to monetize Call of Duty a bit more. How can we do that?
Well,
I'm surprised that Arcane Wonders bought that IP to do that. I wouldn't expect it from that company to do this game, in my opinion. But I was looking for the person, obviously, for who had done it. I was like, well, really? I wasn't expecting. For me, I would expect someone like Awakened Realms or SFG or someone like that to possibly take up that mantle, but not them.
I mean, I've got to the point, actually, it says it's officially licensed in partnership with Activision, so maybe they are paying a fee to do it. I don't know. Maybe.
Possibly.
I mean,
that sort of sounds like.
And it's got 15 days to go. They've got over 1,000 backers, but compared to some like Simon Kickstarters, it's a tiny amount.
The other thing, I mean, it's not too bad. The miniatures will be pre-painted.
That does look. That's nice.
But
especially with the
someone
price.
did say, because Apex Legends was on Kickstarter not that long ago.
It was indeed. I got to play it,
and that didn't do gangbusters. And people said, well, the crossover for board games and actual video games, is there actually a call for that? Like,
it's a fair question.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably in the minority where I am a Call of Duty nut, and I play board games. So yeah, this is down my path. But how many others are there like that? Like, by the sounds of it, Dan's not a fan.
Well, it depends on the product, doesn't it? It depends on your own interest. And for anybody who likes Call of Duty, then if you like Call of Duty, the video game, and you like board games, then it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
I like a first-person shooter. I do like the old, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4, the original Modern Warfare, that kind of stuff onwards.
Yeah.
So I've got very fond memories of playing that with my friends on Xbox Live and stuff.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
The idea of playing this as a board game fills me with utter dread. So I think there's also the Venn diagram of those that like playing video games like Call of Duty, but also like playing board games like Call of Duty is even smaller than it's another small segment of that whole catchment. So it is an odd kind of market to be targeting, isn't it?
Depends on how deep you want to go with it, because some people for me, I like a video game that is high octane, that is going at like 80, 90 miles per hour. But then when you try and make a board game adaptation of a video game, you can't go at that speed. So what mechanics are you going to put in there to create possibly to give off the same kind of feeling? So the only way that I can think of that you'd probably be able to bring the kind of same high octane-ness that a video game would be is to bring in a mechanic that would incorporate stress. And like Frostpunk does, for example. So Frostpunk, the video game I love, and it creates this sense of dread and also a sense of you've got to go quick, because otherwise, everything's just going to go to pot. But then you play the board game and everything completely slows down because you have a structured turn format that goes from one to the next, and so on. So you lose that kind of speed awareness of what you're trying to do. So you've got to try and replace it with, in this case, probably more stress, which I think Frostpunk, the board game, does very, very well. So in terms of video game to board game conversions, Frostpunk does it fantastically. And sadly, I don't think there are many others. But Frostpunk is very good. This War of Mine is very good. But I do call this War of Mine Depression in a Box.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is. But there aren't many others, I feel, that do it very well. I mean, I'm a big fan of Resident Evil, the video game. Does it translate very well into a board game? No, it doesn't.
Yeah, well, the mechanics are hidden programming movement. So you have a mini map behind the screen and you program 4 movements on your mini map, and then act them once you've all decided, and you follow the path that you planned, and then if you get into line of sight of the opponent, then you react and shoot, and go from there. And if you kill, one of you dies, then you randomly spawn at a location and continue your movement like that.
That sounds to me like an original way of trying to convey an American style board game, with how many games out there have you played that are very, very similar when you go from like Descent, like a lot of FFG stuff, so Descent or Gears of War, the board game, and that kind of thing, where the mechanics of movement is very, very similar, and it feels almost like wooden, because like, yeah, I've been there, done that. So yeah, I would say that Call of Duty, if they're using that in such a way that's more original, then I would be more interested in that, because that's not something I've done already before a billion times.
So yeah, like we said, it's got about, well, by the time this comes out, probably 10 days left if you're interested in backing it. The other one, this is probably more down Dan's alley than shooty bang bang. Perseverance, Castaways Chronicles, episodes 3 and 4. Someone can say that properly for me in a minute. So
yeah, so Perseverance, episode 3 and 4 is coming in. I can't remember when is it. It's the pre-release page is up.
The
so
preview page is on
yet.
GameFound, yeah, but it's not live yet. I don't believe
so it's not live yet.
October or November.
Yeah,
I thought it was out on.
But you can see
already.
you can see the basic information. But it's the sequels to episodes 1 and 2, where you are now able to tame and ride the dinosaurs that you've found on the island in episodes 1 and 2, and you can start using them. And then we don't really know what happens in episode 4 yet, because it says it takes a sinister turn, so we have to wait and see what happens on that. But that sounds exciting for those who like first Perseverance.
I can give you what I think might be happening in episode 4.
Yeah.
I think if you obviously, without too many spoilers, if you know episode 1 and you know episode 2 pretty well, based on where you go with episode 3, you can probably see that there are a lot of temples. Obviously, in episode 2 there's one. I think in episode 3 there's more than one. But I think quite possibly that there will be something within those temples that players will be investigating in. So I reckon possibly, because they've not shown any of episodes 4 at all yet. I think in fear of potentially spoilers. I'm not quite sure how they're going to market it.
Yeah.
But I think you end up going inside one.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Okay. Nick, didn't you do the solo for 1 and 2?
I helped in the development of the solo for 1 and 2.
Okay.
In the early stage, I didn't do the late stage development. I did the early stage. At that point, that was actually episode 3 and 4 that I was doing, but that became 1 and 2 in the end.
Oh, right.
Wow.
Because they were planning on a much simpler entry level episode 1, and it kind of spiraled out of control into the much more complicated game that it is now. So yeah, episode 1's probably heavier than the original episode 3, where we did that.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. Next on the crowdfunding list, we've got this one I put in is the 4th game in the Iron Rail series, which is Age of Rail South Africa. So if any of you listeners like train games or games by John Brewer, who's done lots of games for Winsome Games, lots of train games, this is the 4th one in the Iron Rail series, and it looks fairly interesting. Comes with metal trains if you want to buy metal trains as well. You can use with all the games, but it's another train game in the fact that it's buying stock in train companies and then building their train lines out. But it's the first one. It's not on a hex grid at all. It's got pre-printed routes, and you're just filling the routes in, which is an interesting twist. So yeah, I quite like this one. And it's a very decent buy-in level of $40 for the this 4th game and the expansion, and then you can buy the other 3 if you want to as well in the range. That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally on the crowdfunding list is one I put in, which is, again, this is a preview one. This is for Stowy, which is the portable fold-away gaming table. So all of you who like your big expensive gaming tables, this one is comparatively very reasonably priced. I think the initial buy-in level is about £550. and there's a load of add-ons you can add into it, with like tray holders and things and other bits and bobs. But it's really, really beautiful. It's all effectively it's been handcrafted. I don't know if they're factory making the final versions, but it's been 3 or 4 years in development to get this into a system that you can fold down into a kind of like a carry box that acts as a stool as well. So it looks very interesting. So that's coming probably in the next 3 to 6 months, I think, will be there, and that's on GameFound.
I mean,
Interesting one to sort of sell that because it looks like flimsy.
Oh yeah, but it is actually very
one.
solid. If you look at a lot of their preview videos, they've worked a long time on it.
I think I don't know what the market's really like, but it feels like a gaming table is a hard sell at the best of times anyway, even though there's loads of them about now. It's like a very niche piece of furniture.
It is very,
and this is even more niche again. And it feels like you very much want to see this thing and feel it and actually use it before you commit to buying something.
And I think they will probably be having them. They're bringing them to cons probably before it goes live, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was going to say
getting your can from under the table where they've got those 4 cup holders like in the middle. That looks like a really awkward place to store your beer. Not sure. It's just very odd looking.
Which is it kind of has to be fold up and transported.
Yeah, I like the idea that it does fold up. It's one of those you'd want to see in person, isn't it? And sort of see how quick.
Yeah, you want to give it a try. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it is great for the people that don't have the space for like a game.
They can just get it out for a game night or something.
Yeah, but
they haven't got the space for the table. They've got space for the chairs.
This is it. Well, it's almost coffee table.
It's just got a couple of sofas. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's this full size sort of full height sort of table. I'm guessing he's looking at it.
Yeah.
It looks like you want dining room table chair type things, in which case you presume if you've got the chairs, you've probably got a table. So it's really it's a funny one.
I mean, there is a picture of someone doing it as a coffee table, kind of on the sofa. So I think you can put the legs on it to
maybe the legs kind of go 3 different ways or something. So they're kind of low height or high height or something. Yeah.
So
you can have it without the legs.
No need of another table.
You got your nice big table, haven't you, Josh?
I have got my very big table.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for it at UK Games Expo next year. You never know.
Yep.
It might be. Awesome. So, what have we been playing then, gentlemen? Dan, seeing you're our guest, would you want to start with something?
No, thank you so much. I have been playing not too much since the board game marathon ended, because as soon as it kind of closes up, all I want to do is close my eyes for an extended period of time, approximately 2 to 3 months. But no, I've got the gaming group back together again, and we've started playing games this week actually. So we got to the table, something on the lighter side. We got Namiji on the table, which is also the Antoine Bauza sequel to Tokaido, which is very good. I think it's slightly lighter than Tokaido.
Really?
Yeah, very much.
I find Tokaido very light.
You haven't got any money to worry about in the media.
No cash. That's it. Yeah.
The tension point in Tokaido is very much like, have I got enough money to buy food? And you don't have that at all in Namiji. So actually, it flows. But as a result, it kind of flows more nicely, I think.
Yeah. I'd say that it does as well. Yeah. We did that night as we finished Namiji so quick because it doesn't take long to play. I mean, an hour even with 5 people and you're done. We played Namiji, but we also then played Tokaido immediately straight afterwards, which was actually quite a good way to compare the two side by side. And I hadn't played Tokaido in a while, so it was I played Namiji fairly regularly, so it was good to play them both together side by side. And when I did that, I kind of thought, you know what, I think Tokaido is actually slightly better, especially if you add the Crossroads expansion to it, which I do.
Right.
And it just adds a little bit of extra depth, and it's not too crunchy that my poor little brain can't handle. But after such a crazy marathon event, so I wanted to do something light. So it was nice to play a couple of games of that. And then after that, last night the group got together and played Nemesis, just the original base game version of Nemesis, of which is always entertaining whenever you play Nemesis, of which the most entertaining part is working out who's gone corporate and who's gone personal, and if there's been more corporate choices than there have been personal. And there definitely was more corporate this time, which is always makes for a better game, I feel, as everyone's trying to backstab everybody and trying to go for their own gain, which is good fun. And I didn't win, but I had a jolly good time doing it. It is always fun to play.
Cool.
You mentioned Fallen Leaves. Do you play that at the marathon?
I did, yes. I did play that
Leaves?
fairly recently. Falling Leaves is a little roll and write game that I picked up at the UK Games Expo a couple of years ago, where you have literally just 2 dice, and you're rolling these 2 dice sort of kind of collectively, where everyone is using the same dice, and you're drawing a grid on a piece of paper that has a bunch of symbols on, and these symbols are based on a season. So the pad that you get within it are split into 4 seasons, so autumn, summer, winter, spring. And when you pick one, you basically roll the dice, and if you've got, say, 2 leaves on one dice and 3 leaves on another, that means that you have to draw a 2x3 box around icons on the sheet. And when you do that, you can then cross off all the items of one particular type. And there are different ways to score the game based on the items that you're crossing off. And when you do a box, when you roll the dice again, your next box has to be next to one of the boxes that you have already crossed off. So it's nice and light, nothing taxing, nothing like Hadrian's Wall at all. And it's slightly simpler than the likes of like Welcome To. But it's very good, and you can get a good couple of games done in half an hour. It's just nice to play.
All right. Doesn't seem to be an entry on Board Game Geek unless it's under a different name.
No, I think it's Rustling Leaves.
Rustling Leaves.
Rustling Leaves.
Yeah.
There is one called Falling Leaves, but that's a different game.
That's an expansion to something else. And I was like, whoa, there's not much on this. And then I was like, okay, that'll be it.
Oh, it's a Paolo Mori design as well. That's nice.
Cool.
It
right.
Indeed. Yeah.
Very cool.
Very good. My first game is, well, it's been mentioned so many times. I say Hegemony, but I think it's said some other way. I might be wrong.
Hegemony, but it's really
Hegemony.
I struggle with it too.
Awesome. So this is, I've heard about this game quite a bit. I heard it was like a long game. It's like 5 hours at best playing. It's asymmetrical player powers, because you're basically playing like either like the government state, corporation, working class, and middle class.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah. And so you're one of those, and each person is playing a different way and earning points in a different way. So I went to the 24-hour gaming marathon hoping that someone would have a copy, and luckily Dan's copy was in the library. So I was speaking to a few people, and they were saying, yeah, we want to play that. And then we were trying to organise a time, and the actual time we can actually start playing it was around about midnight when everyone was coming together. So we said, okay, let's do it. So we started probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking, be finished in time to do Camel Up, which I think was booked at 6:30 in the morning. And we were still playing. I think we were still only on round 3 or 4. But to be honest, I was having a whale of a time. It was so funny playing this game, because it was all the shenanigans going on. You're doing stuff to try and decrease wages, but then the working class don't want the wages decreased. They want the wages to go up because they want more money. But the corporation want to decrease wages and decrease taxes, so they don't have to pay so much. But then the state will lose out if they don't have taxes coming in, because they won't have enough money to do anything. So it's just that whole kind of this multiple kind of seesaws going on of everyone's trying to get what they want out of it. And it was just so funny because at one point we reduced the wages down right to the minimum they could be. And then the state person, I can't remember who was playing that, leans over to the working class and says, oh, well, if you vote up I'll get the taxes down, and then we'll get the wages back up. And he was like, what are you on about? You voted to bring the wages down as well. How am I going to believe you? And there was just like this cold kind of banter thing going on between each other. It was just great fun. And actually, even though we didn't finish it, I'm not gutted. It was an experience, and I want to play it again and hopefully finish it this time and see what's done. We did learn it from the rule book because barely any of us had played it. So there was that thing. We were learning rules throughout the game all the time. And yeah, it was just, there was lots of kind of stopping and starting and waking people up as they were falling asleep in between their turns. But it was one of those things. It was like great because even though it sounds like a long time playing, like you do an action and a bonus action if you can, and then it's the next person's turn. And it just keeps coming around. It's like, oh, it's my turn again. Oh, that's quite quick. Okay, I'll do this and this. And then you're like looking at time, it's like, Jesus, 2 hours have gone by already, and like we're on round 2 now. Okay, let's just keep going. This is all right. It weren't like sat there for ages waiting for someone to take their turn. It was actually quite eventful and quite pleasant. And as I said, I want to play it again. I think you just need to make sure you get like 4 people together to play it, because I think it's at its optimal of playing. It can be played with lower counts, but I don't think it will have the same.
Yeah, BGG says it's best at 4.
Yeah,
I agree.
So yeah, Dan, if you're ever planning a game, mark me up. I'll travel the distance to come.
You travel the distance? You're more than welcome. I love playing with Devon. Well, I've only played it twice, but both times were a real pleasure. I got to play as the middle class both times, which kind of samples in a little bit of the working class and samples as a little bit of the capitalist class. Mm-hmm. It's clever. It's just clever the way that all the pieces kind of fit together. It's definitely better at 4 because then you've kind of got all the bases covered. If you don't have a 4-player game, then you feel like a 3-player game, then the state can't be played. And if you have a 2-player game, I think it's the middle class can't be played, I believe. The game kind of scales down, but I just don't think it would give you the kind of same feel as if you played it with less players.
And they played with AI as well. The others.
Yes. If you have the expansion, you can add automas in there that can take over those missing roles if you don't have them. But the base game doesn't come with them. But I think it's just clever, and it also feels thematic as well. As we found that the working class player was like, well, I don't want to do that. I said, well, why not? So because I'm all about the people. I'm like, here we go. Do you want me to get you a plaque or a stick or something so you can shout and you know. And then he threatened strike action because you can threaten strike action obviously as the working class. And do you know what, mate? You're all right. You carry on. You do your But it was really fun. It's really fun to play.
It is brilliant. And then on the opposite side of that, I played Thunder Road Vendetta, which is basically a dice fest of action cars moving forward on a straight road, trying to blow each other up, and the first one to the end wins, kind of thing. I've seen it on Kickstarter. I kind of poo-pooed it, and then I played it, and I kind of wish I backed it because it was awesome. It is a big regret, backer's remorse, but of not backing it. But it is just a fest of like. It's by Restoration Games, so it's an old classic game that used to be based on the old Mad Max Thunder Road, but they've redesigned it. They've made it a bit more gamery, and there's lots going on. And really, if you want to get a copy of this, you've got to go for the Chrome Carnage version?
Maximum Chrome edition.
Maximum Chrome, that's it.
Yeah.
And it gets all the expansions and all the extras in it. And I've been searching for a copy, but I'm not spending £500 on eBay for one. So I'm hoping when I go to Essen... Have you
seen all the bits you get for that?
I know. That's why I want a copy of that. I mean, you can buy it individually off the stores, but I'm just like, I might wait until Essen. Hopefully, there's a stall there selling copies. If not, hopefully a reprint will come back out, and I'll pick it up then. But yeah, it's just a dice fest because every time you do something, you just roll dice and cross your fingers and hopefully it goes your way. And it's that kind of cascading thing of like when a car can move like because it's slid on oil or it's being bumped by another car, and you roll a dice and it tells you the direction it moves in this 6-direction way. And if that bumps into another car, then you have to roll the dice again, and it just can keep cascading downwards and really screw people up in some places. And there's all like obstacles and everything in the road as well, and jumps. You do a jump, you got to roll a dice, and hopefully you go a long way and avoid all the other obstacles. So yeah, I really want a copy of that. So yeah,
cool. It looked a lot of fun when you were playing it. I hear it from the other
I'm
room.
hoping I'm coming on Monday, tomorrow. I'm hoping that it's going to be there again because I want to play that again.
Cool.
So
yeah, it's kind of got that
cool.
proper kind of. It's not party game, but it's kind of got that light-hearted. It doesn't take much thought, and it's just instinctive, tactical kind of thinking each time. I like the play of it we had as well. And it felt very kind of. We played at UK Games Expo, and it felt like the right kind of game at the right time for that because it didn't take much to think about. It was we're tired and it's been a long day. Didn't really need much to worry about, and it worked fine for that. It was really good.
Very cool. My first game on my playlist is Planet Unknown, which is the one of the Spiel des Jahres nominees, or Kenner Spiel des Jahres nominees this year. And I had a lot of fun playing this. We played a 5-player game where I think only one of us had played it before, and it was very enjoyable. We played with the asymmetric boards, but with the symmetric maps, so there wasn't too crazy asymmetries going on. But this is a tile laying game where you're drafting tiles from a Lazy Susan in the middle. Everyone gets to draft a tile on every turn, which makes it fairly quick and interactive. And you're trying to fill up your map with the most efficient tile placement you can, but also every tile has little tracks that you move up that give you extra bonuses or extra powers. You have little rovers that move around to pick up meteorites and pick up what are they called, the biomass drops. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was I did win, which I always hesitant at how good a game is if I win the game first time, because I rarely win games usually. So the fact I won it seems to, I wonder how balanced it is at that point. But I've only played it once, so I need to play it some more. I won't go into too much detail because we might do a review of it on the podcast at some point soon. But yeah, my first impressions are very good. There's a lot of variability with the different maps and the different player boards. So I think it's a good one. I think it was a good nomination for the Kenner Spiel des Jahres this year.
Unlike some others that are in the
Unlike some others we don't have to mention again. And the other game I played is After Us, which is that's another new one. This is it's a kind of a deck building. Oh yeah, it is deck building. You can say that. So it's a deck building game where you are in the future where humankind has died out, leaving the Earth to a number of different apes and monkey species. And the game is basically you're producing resources like fruit and other coloured pieces. I don't know what the rest of the pieces are, and batteries, strangely. And then you're using those to attract other monkeys into your clan. They come out of your deck, and you are trying to. It's a race to 80 points. Basically, you're trying to get the first to 80 points. We had a good fun playing it. We learnt it from the rulebook and played it within an hour, which was a very good sign. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
we're playing it on BGA.
And we're playing on BGA at the moment. Yeah,
and it is very easy to learn. To be fair, it is very easy to learn. And the thing that's quite interesting is that instead of it being like a deck building game where you draw out your cards, in this one you draw out your cards, but then you have to put them in a specific order for them when they trigger the different things on the cards.
Because they join up between each other as to what activates.
It kind of makes it means that not only the cards you draw, but also the order you put them in is an important decision.
Yeah. And also, whenever you buy new cards, it goes straight on top of your deck rather than you discard, like most deck builders. So you get them out straight away. And there are ways to trash your cards with rage. And there are 4 different types of ape or monkey that you can attract, and they all do they're slightly better at certain things. and there are two different levels of cards. So there's the lower level and the high level. And the high level obviously is better, but more expensive. So you have to save up for it. And then you've got these little tokens that you get to pick kind of an action in the second phase when you do a buy, which nominates what type of animal you can attract, but also gives you a little bonus. But again, it's a nice, quick, breezy game where you are all playing effectively simultaneously most of the time. And there's, it's not like there's a river of cards you can pick from to draft. You literally just take the one off the top of the deck when you buy one, and it's just a lucky dip of what you get. But they're both fairly balanced. It's how you use them in the lineup. So that was pretty nice. I'm not sure how balanced it is. That's based on one game.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't rush at UK Games Expo to go and grab one of the Big Ben ones, because I don't think it's one that would stick. But
it's got it is, and it's fairly light. I think as a deck build goes, for me it's too light for a deck build. There's not enough deck building in it. I mean, I'd have to play it again.
Certainly not in the sense that because you're not able to control the. Yeah. I don't mind the balance of it in a way, because you can't really control the cards that are in your deck so easily, or the ones you're buying at least anyway, which I guess means that I'm not too worried about the fact that it's quite light and breezy as a result. Because I think if they tried to do more with it, but you don't have any real control over the cards you're buying, it's kind of a weird mix, isn't it? So I think they've kind of got it right for the type of game it is.
Yeah, I get the feeling they could easily add some expansions into this that mix up the type of animals you have. But yeah, for what it is, I think for a game that only takes 40 to 60 minutes to play, I think it was a decent game, and plays up to 6 players.
Sorry, I haven't played it physically. I've only just started playing it on Board Game Arena, and I think I played 4 games in a row one evening, and won all 4 games, which is actually unheard of. But I just read the rules quickly and was like, oh yeah, I get this. Oh yeah, this is quite simple.
Yeah, it is very easy to pick up. Actually, which is pretty good. It's
quite a good implementation on Board Game Arena. It makes it quite self-explanatory.
They do a nice implementation. Yeah.
And yeah, you just play away and you're playing your own game and you're watching everyone else gain points. It's like our game at the minute. I keep watching Sam. He's like, he's gaining a lot of points. Right, I need to work on points and get some more points and keep up with him.
I suppose that is one of the negatives, is that there isn't very much interaction between players. The main, other than the race to 80 points, the main interaction is the tokens you choose in the second phase. Other people can copy by spending resources. They can copy that action. That's effectively the only interaction you have with other players. And I would like to have more interaction. I think they could add more interaction with expansions.
Yeah, it's almost
that was good.
What happens. Yeah, I think we should shout out for the artwork on it as well, because the artwork, it's Vincent to Trade.
Vincent to Trade artwork is beautiful. Good. Oh yeah, thematically the theme makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. There's no theme. It's pasted on entirely. You could put any other theme on, it wouldn't make any difference. But it is beautiful to look at.
But I'd say that the other thing I like is the regional versions they're making of everything as well. So there's like UK versions, the Big Ben one, the French. Well, the base version is Eiffel Tower, and then they've done a Brandenburg Gate one for Germany. There's a Spanish one as well. I can't remember what the building is. Yeah, it's just really nice that they've kind of localized, not only localized for the language, but then they've localized the cover as well, which is really smart. I think that's really cool. Really clever.
That's a nice
idea.
Thing,
yeah.
Might sell better if it's got something that the locals can relate to.
I've seen the Italian one's got the Colosseum as well. Wow, it's cool. Well, it's also it's like how many? It's almost like the Abyss, because Abyss kind of did the same thing, didn't they? With the random, like there's 4 different covers with just the monster's face on it. And I bet you there's a bunch of people that went and got one of each just so that they had the full set.
Yes.
So whoever loves After Us enough is going to go and buy one of each regional version to have all the boxes, maybe.
That'd be impressive.
Someone will be nuts enough to do it.
I can understand Abyss, but After Us, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if playing this physically, it'd be like, I'm done after a couple of games. I mean, I'll keep playing it on Board Game Arena, and I think that's probably where I'll just play it anyway.
It's quick and breezy on there, yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those funny games it's between. It's not quite a filler, but it almost plays as long as a filler.
Yeah.
I think the setup for it would be a bit annoying for it, but yeah, I think
the setup wasn't too bad. Setting up physically, it wasn't too bad at all.
Yeah.
Well, as long as the decks have been separated to begin with, and they're not mixed up when you set them up, then it's there's not a lot to set up. So Sam, what have you been playing?
Nothing particularly new, apart from I finally got one of my Show for Shame games off my roster, and that's the Artemis Project, which is a few years old now. I remember seeing it when it first came out at UK Games Expo. Well, no, it didn't come out at UK Games Expo, but I saw it in 2019's Expo, and I was tempted to buy it then, and I ended up not doing so, and subsequently got it in a trade during COVID, and never really got it to the table. It was just one of those games that I struggled to sort of not get anyone to play. I just like it was always there's always something else I wanted to try more, and so it's taken me a while to get to it. But I finally took it with me I just took games I hadn't played one night to a Wednesday night, and one of them was Artemis Project, and my team decided they wanted to try that. So in this one, it's a sort of a dice as worker placement game where you are characters effectively mining the Jupiter's moon Europa, which is famous for having, it's the most likely candidate for off-planet Earth life in the solar system, because it's got a subsurface ocean, huge subsurface ocean, and the idea is you're kind of diving, you're sort of drilling through the ice of the crust to get to the stuff underneath. So you're essentially sort of doing resource mining on the lower half of the board, and on the upper half you're sort of preparing your business and sort of getting new work, getting new characters and stuff like that, or new buildings and things. And it's kind of interesting. I like it. It's one of those kind of spacey themed worker placement-y style games that I always quite like. The one thing I do like is that unlike where you sort of have like a dice worker placement game, the first person to put something down gets to do something or whatever. This one relies on the value, so the order that the spaces activate will be defined by lowest to highest order. So if you put down a 1, you're going to be going first or second, depending on who else has put a 1 down as well. Then the 2s activate, then the 3s activate. But when you're sort of doing things like getting resources, you get a number of resources equal to the die value you've put down. So you put down a 1 or a 2 to make sure you go earlier, you will only get 1 or 2 resources. Where if you put down a 3 or 4 or 5, you're going to get more resources, but you may be unlucky and there might not be any resources left to take, because that's a variable. Every round there'll be a variable amount of resources available. I can't remember what they all are meant to be. Like there's like a grey resource and a yellow resource. I can't remember what they are. It's fairly ambiguous. Talking about pasted on themes, this is a little bit pasted on as well. But essentially, I liked the idea. It was almost this kind of, you're almost auctioning with your dice to sort of, you guarantee getting something by going with a low number, but you're not going to get as much of it as you might like, which is quite fun. But yeah, it was interesting. It was okay.
It's one I really like the artwork on it, and the style of the drawings, and it's one I'd always wanted to know more about. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's. I think we all liked the kind of overall flow of the game. It all worked very nicely. But the only complaint we had was the amount of time it kind of took. I had to play it with 5 because there were 5 of us, and it definitely is not a 5-player game. You can see that when you look at a picture of the board. One of the spaces is called the Academy, I think, which is where you can change. Like you get like a certain number of like actual kind of people essentially. You have to activate buildings with these workers. Yeah. They're not workers, but in order for a building to activate, you have to be able to commit people to them essentially. Yeah. And in the Academy, you can sort of change a blue guy to a red guy or whatever. And there's 2 spaces. The second space is only available in a 3 or 4-player game. What about a 5-player game? So clearly the 5-player mode was added as a Kickstarter extra. And it's not really, I don't think it's ever really been balanced with the rest of it, because it took us 3.5 hours to play a 5-player game.
Oh my word, because it says 60 to 75 minutes.
Yeah, lies, complete lies. They ought to be sued for that. It's just appalling.
Wow.
That's insane.
It was really, time-wise, it was just, the trouble is me being someone that was just like, I know that you may not want to play this, but it's the best choice we've got out of what we've got available for 5. So we gave it a try, and I was like, sort of, I always worry that people aren't having a good time with a game they're a bit iffy about anyway. And so I was just like, I'm really sorry it's taken a while. And they're like, don't worry, it's all right, it's fine. They all said they enjoyed it at the end, but I'm still like, that took 3.5. That was like our entire game night, basically playing one game, and it was it wasn't meant to take that long.
No.
Yeah, don't believe that. It's one of those things. Double the time estimate for that one. And because of that, it also means that I'm not entirely sure I'll play it again. I think 3 is probably the sweet spot. I wouldn't want to play it with more than that probably, but I don't know. It's on the trade list already, but I'll hold on to it unless something really good comes up for it.
Yeah, it says best at 3 on Board Game Geek. And it's not recommended at 5. The majority of people.
No, definitely not recommended at 5.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I like the overall theme of the whole mining Europa bit. Was just the attraction.
Is it a nice production? Because I like Grand Games.
Yeah.
Production.
Yeah, no,
nice.
production wise, it's really nice. Everything's really solid. All the dice are really fairly plain normal dice, but they look nice, and all the little acrylic pieces are all really nice. I've got no complaints at all about the production of it, really. Just beyond the fact that they made it a 5-player game when they shouldn't have. So, yeah. But yeah, that was it. That's all I played this week, really.
Nice.
Awesome. Nick, you got only... I don't think I've got anything to add that I've been doing. So, Nick, what movie...
My other business. Yeah, I went to see Barbie at the weekend.
Awesome.
With my wife. Lots of fun, Barbie. It is hard to describe exactly how it is. It is very funny. It is also very poignant in places as well. It makes a lot of comments and about womankind and how the patriarchy is really quite bad in this world. And in Barbie world, all the women control everything, and all the men are subservient. And it's very interesting how they do that. Visually, it was quite amazing. The amount of, I think everything was practical effects that they did. They built all the sets. At I think it was Elstree Studios in London. They built them. And
they ran out of pink paint.
They ran out of pink paint and building them. There's so much pink, which is just insane. Because there is a lot of pink on there. But yeah, these amazing sets, which were kind of the Barbie dream houses, were actual physical sets that they made.
When they ran out of pink paint, do you think they had to go into their local DIY shop and then get the color matcher?
Yes, I say we need to mix it to make this color.
You've got to get the color match spot on,
B&Q.
because there's some guy called Nigel who's 58 who lives with his mother who's going to notice if the color's different.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen.
That's what's happened.
So, sorry, Nigel, if you're listening.
Really good, George.
Yes.
Yeah. Unless you're a listener, in which case we like it. So yeah, highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. I can't compare it to Oppenheimer because I haven't seen that yet.
No, I'm hoping to go and see it with my daughter. My daughter wants to watch it, so I said, "Yeah, I'll go along and watch it with you." She thinks I'm weird, but I don't know.
She's going to go see Oppenheimer with you.
Yeah, that's it. No, Barbie. And I'm actually going to see the Turtles movie with my boy this week. So,
oh, cool.
So yeah, he wants to see it.
That's meant to be amazing.
Well. Yeah. Number 2's already been slated to be done. Yeah. So we just need to get through this writer's strike, and then we'll get some good movies out again. So, but yeah.
If we're talking about movies, I did go and see Oppenheimer instead of Barbie. I want to see Barbie as well, but I did go and see Oppenheimer, and that was fantastic too.
Brilliant.
Do you
do any masters in physics and that to understand?
No, no, not at all. No, thankfully, no. I mean, it doesn't. In fact, I'd say it basically doesn't do anything about the science of it, pretty much at all.
Okay.
It's all about the guy. It's all about Oppenheimer himself. So it's a full-on biopic. Nothing to do with the science of it, really. The science is kind of like a backdrop to it all. But yeah, it's very good. Highly recommended as well.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Well, and that's it, I believe. So yeah, if you check the show notes and that, I'll have all the links for the Board Gaming Marathon there to help Dan out. I'm pretty sure he doesn't need the help because he seems to be doing quite well on his own. But yeah,
all the help is always welcome. So thanks.
Definitely. as again, it goes to a very good cause. My daughter, actually, when she was born, was pretty much in a similar situation as your son was. She, as we say, she was on a bungee cord because as she was trying to be born, the umbilical cord was wrapped around her legs. So as she was coming out, she was being pulled back in again by the cord.
Wow.
So and 36 hours in labour before they decided to say, yeah, we need to extract this through the sunroof.
Yeah, it's a scary old time, isn't it?
It definitely is. So So yeah, 24 hours. Been up for like 36 hours.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
And then when you realise that your daughter is now stealing money from your wallet, you realise that it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you become Daddy Cab. Not to be confused with Johnny Cab from Total Recall, but it's not far off. You just have to drive and just go, and then you're so tired because it's probably 2:00 in the morning, and you're picking up her and her friends, and you then decide to contemplate life at that moment, and go, it's all worth it. Yeah, thanks. I love you. Thank you so much. I've got all that to look forward to.
Definitely, because she is 16 now, and we're living through all that. Yeah. My kids did say, is like the dog your favourite child now? I said, the dog's the only one that greets me now when I come home from work. So,
the dog will always be excited to see you, even if the dog has lost control of its back legs because it's so old. It will still love you more than your children does when you walk in from work. I've got a 1-year-old puppy, and she's absolutely freaking mental.
Oh, so am
I. As soon as I come home, she she's knocking me down. She's amazing. But when I go, hi kids, all I get is
yeah. You're lucky to get that.
They're 7 and 5. That's terrible. Who do you love more? Who do you love more? Is it Daddy or is it Disney Plus?
Don't give them that choice. Oh dear.
I know it's a hard question. I wouldn't dare ask.
Yeah.
I communicate more to my kids through Alexa than like actually face to face. Alexa, announce dinner time, and it's like, and suddenly down the stairs. Hi, oh yeah, we do have kids then. Oh, okay, hi. Yeah. So sorry if anyone's Alexa's gone off and announced dinner time and really confused the household.
Alexa, rewind 2 minutes. Well, mine's just gone off. There you go. So if that's happened to you now, you're welcome.
Brilliant. Oh dear. So yeah. You can find everything we talked about on this show in the show notes. There'll be links in there because Nick is just a master of putting links in. I just put the stuff in the script and then it's all organised and linked and everything's there. He's amazing. So thanks, Nick, for doing all that hard work. And thank you for everyone to listen to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope Dan enjoyed himself.
He did indeed. Thank you very much for having me. Real pleasure.
Fine.
Thank you.
Love to have you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely am. I'm just booking tickets now for the mini marathon as we speak.
Thank you so much. Please do. It'd be great to see you there.
Yeah, and if you got any comments you want to leave about the podcast or anything about the show or anything like that, then send it in by all the means necessary that are listed also in the show notes. And thanks, guys, for turning up and doing the show with me. I hope you lot enjoyed yourselves too. If you want to say goodbye, now's the chance.
Bye.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me.
Wow, hour and a half.
Oh,
that is a record.
That's because during the news you literally just read out the headlines.
That's true. Yeah.
And we didn't have Lewis bitching.
That's true as well.
He has to have a mind about every single point. And we love you, Lewis. That's why we have you on.
So
keep a close eye on those listening stats now to see which ones are most effective.
So yeah, it's always funny, Dan. We say, right, we're going to do an hour and a half or an hour and a quarter, and that's it. And then 2 hours later, we're still going. It's like, oh, will this never end?
Which one has fallen asleep? Yeah.
Well, that's usually me. Usually, I'm like,
it's good though. It's good to chat for that long and have discussion. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never mind it going over if we intend it to be sort of shorter, but I never mind it going over if we're actually talking about stuff that makes sense or is entertaining or something. It's fine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if we're having fun, quite frankly, because if we're having fun, hopefully that means everyone else is having fun listening to it. So.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the way I look at it. If there's interesting conversation, then I'll leave it in. If there's just kind of boring, then I do cut stuff out. But like, there's a weird thing like with the community, not with just ours, but like podcasting community, that people like shorter podcasts so they can listen to the whole thing on their commute. And I'm like,
yes.
Well, if I'm commuting, I listen to something, and when I get to my destination, I stop it. And when I continue going home, I re-listen to, I don't understand why people need to listen to the whole thing in one go.
Plus, how long is someone's commute? Is it half an hour? Is it 40 minutes? Is it 45 minutes? You can't do that. So, yeah. No. I mean, I listen to the Secret Cabal. Theirs is normally 3 hours plus.
It's 3 hours.
So that's like what, 3 commutes minimum. So
that's a lot. I mean, I'm quite lucky. I can listen to podcasts while I work, which is quite nice.
Yeah,
I could as well. I never do, just because I can never. Like, I used to have friends that listen to audiobooks while they're working, and I'm like, how are you paying attention to what's being said? It's just like, I can't have 2 attention things going at the same time for me. I think
I tried to watch Paul Grogan's video of Voidfall on Friday while trying to work, and it turns out that my work was fine. But I didn't catch any of what he said. Paul Grogan said it's just hard. It's just what I mean with Voidfall. I mean, I'm a massive Mindclash fan, so I like anything to do with Mindclash. But this really, I know that Voidfall is like TI on crack, and it just wasn't going in. So there are some things that I can have on in the background and I can engage with, and it's okay. But things like Voidfall, no chance in hell.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sometimes I can listen to stuff, and sometimes it depends what you're doing, I think.
Yes, I'm quite lucky with my job. I'm only administrator, so it's nice and easy. So it's nothing too brain burning.
Yeah, when you're writing student reports and you're listening to something, you don't want to be like writing about the latest board game into someone's student report.
Accidentally call people Asbo during.
Yeah.
You want to write his nickname in, but I'll probably cut that.
Please see me about Perseverance episode 1.
So, well,
right, lovely stuff.
Awesome,
nice one, guys.
Thank you once again for having me. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Al. It's been great to have you.
As I said, I'm booking tickets for the mini one. I'll be there. I can't vouch for
Thank
the others.
You so much. It'd be great to have you there.
Yeah. So.
And if we can, you never know. Maybe we can get a game of Hegemony in.
Yeah, maybe.
You only have 12 hours. Don't get carried away.
I know. But hopefully, most of us will know what they're doing by then, or if at least one person knows what they're doing, it should cut the game time by about a third.
Yeah.
Ish.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Now I know how to play. It's like even the setup going from the rule book was just like, oh my goodness.
And you also have to get it right, because I missed a few of the workers on the first game we played, and it made a massive difference to how the game played out, which was a real stupid mistake. It's like, how the hell did I miss those? Oh wait, because you were talking to me and I can't do 2 things at once. That's what I blamed it on. So it made a massive difference to the game. But the second time we played through it, and we all knew what we were doing. It went much faster, but it was still a long game. But it was worth it, because the time just goes by so quickly when you're playing it, because you're so engaged.
That's so cool. Yeah,
it's really good. I recommend anyone to give it a go.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to play it now.
So do I.
Right now, 20 to 10. Let's go.
I'm coming over, Dan. I'll see you in about 2 hours.
Yeah, kettle's on.
Oh dear. Right.
Nice.
Anyway.
Thanks so much, guys.
Nice
Yeah,
to chat
great
to
to have
you.
you. Cheers all.
Please drop me a link once you've got your.
Oh,
It's gone already.
It's
back again.
You're a bit premature with the
Press the wrong button.
Sorry about that.
it's not like Zoom. It doesn't take you half an hour to get out of a Zoom call.
I'm on my iPad. And I just literally push the button. I'm done with that now. I'm done. Click. So my hands were telling me you're done, but my brain wasn't. Do send me a link once you've got the episode up, and I'll get that shared across our socials as well.
Oh,
Nice
awesome! Yeah,
Cool.
Will do.
I'll try and
Alright.
make sure the website's up to date by then. Oh, don't give me time, Joel. String it out.
Yeah, will do.
Have a good one then.
Magic.
Cheers,
Lovely.
guys.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.
Okay,
Take care.
cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.